Hey everybody, Lee Roth here with the Dean King Training Institute. And yes, for those of you who didn't know, that I am back full-time. And look, we talk about things all the time, and we start new students off every single Monday with our different courses and classes. But something that we never really talk about in our industry, which is something that I've always found strange, is that we spend so little time talking about tapping down when it's really 50% of what we do. And it's just a very, very important aspect. So we threw a little video together of how we train and how we talk about tapping down and how important it is for our new students and the guys that are going through our different courses, and how important it is of what we teach them and how we teach them. So we hope you enjoy the video. Please check it out. And if you need any information about us, please go check out our website. Give us a call. Anybody here will be more than happy to help you. We love you. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon. Good. Very good. I can live with that.
Actually, follow this tip. It's actually having a hard time to make a mark on it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising, because that's actually a sharper tip than the other one that you're using.
Too.
Yeah. Well, quite honestly, you know that's a sharper tip. You may have been not pushing quite so hard, which honestly, if you stop and think about it, if you've already got that thought process to be able to back your pressure off because you know you're using a sharper tool, that's great. That gets you one step ahead of it, because so many guys will grab a sharper tool and it takes them a while to go, oh, it's a sharper tool. I've got to push softer.
I'm actually scared to leave pressure on it.
Scare's not a bad thing, but make sure at a point you're feeling what you're feeling and you're seeing the movement and you can control it. But it's a healthy fear for right now. It's good.
Okay.
It's good. Okay. So I'll tell you what, let's start some tapping down, okay? Let's wipe these circles off and these X's off real quick. Guys, since we're ready to start tapping down over here, and y'all should be pretty much right behind us, why don't y'all come join me real quick? And we'll talk about tapping down. Thank you, sir. Okay, so just as we discussed earlier in orientation, you're still going to have your light set up in the exact same situation as you did before when we're pushing the high spots, just like when we were pushing a dent. Okay, so we want to place the light in the exact same place. So if you come over behind me down my left side, actually come down my right side, you'll be able to see it over my right shoulder better. You can see these high spots, okay? And as we were talking earlier, dark side is the back side here toward us. There's the dark side. There's the dark side. Dark here and dark here, all right? Okay, that's what tells you it is a high spot. And I know that sounds silly to some people. A lot of guys will look at me and go, well, really, Lee? Like, I can't tell the difference between a high and a low. You can right now when it's that high. But when it gets down to barely being high, just those very subtle little ups and downs, it becomes very difficult to discern the difference in those. Okay, it can be tough. So here's the key. The way you want to hold your tap down is loosely like a pencil. Basically like this, and place it directly on the highest point. Remember, we talked about a dent that you always go after the deepest point, right? Yeah. You always start a high spot at the exact opposite. You want to go with the highest point, all right? Also, if you'll notice, excuse me, I'm putting my tap down directly down on the top of the high point, but I'm not pushing down. You see how that flexes?
Yeah.
If I push down like that, that stretches that metal, and it's going to completely change the dynamic of what that impact's going to be. It is not going to benefit you. On the contrary, it's going to make it more difficult, and it's going to tap it too deep. It's gonna mess you up, I promise, okay? Firm pressure, just set it down on there, hold it steady. You don't want this tap down moving around. You also don't wanna tap it like that where you're hovering this above the spot. You wanna place it down and a light tap. Just like when you're pushing, we can increase the pressure, all right? So if I come in there and just right off the bat do that, that's a bad thing. That's something I'm automatically going to have to go back and start pushing back up and trying to fix. The goal is to get this flat. So here's one right here. Can everybody see it? Kind of twist around a little bit. Now, what you'll notice is every time I tap it, I lift my tap down out of the way and I'm looking at it with every single tap, okay? No Woody Woodpecker. I don't want to hear this. You can't, well, I can't watch that fast enough to get anything out of that, okay? Now that I've tapped that a couple of times and I'm getting a little bit of movement, but not the movement I'm needing, I know I need to increase my pressure some more. Now, what you're seeing there might be a touch left to high, but it's mostly scuff. So that scuff we could buff out. Yeah, just buff that out. That's the goal right there, is to get that flat. Okay. Now, every once in a while, when you're working on a dent and you tap something down, you're going to go a little too far. It happens. It happens to all of us. If that happens, it's no big deal. You already pushed it up once. Just go back in there and push it up again. Okay. You're going to find that the surprising thing for people in PDR when they learn PDR is they don't realize how involved tapping down is in what we do. Everybody says, oh, well, you push dents. Yeah, well, I tap them down too. 50% of what we do is tapping down. I can take a 70% dent and a lot of times turn it into an 85% dent by tapping it down smoothly and cleaning it up, okay? Which inevitably is just gonna make it easier to finish off, okay? So take tapping down very seriously. It's just as important as learning how to push, okay? You'll get comfortable with which hammers you like. You notice that I held my hammer backwards. That's just me. I'm more comfortable with it. I use a paddle these days. I prefer using a paddle. But even back when I used a regular dent hammer, I always held my hammer this way. I just feel like I had more control over it. It's no, even though I know I'm PDR Zen Master on social media, it's no big Zen Master thing. It's just where I'm more comfortable, right? And using this hammer over a regular plastic lead blow, whichever one you prefer. And it's the same thing with tap downs. Some people like plastic tip tap downs. I prefer a metal tip tap down. There's various ones that are out there. We've got metal ones running around here. I'll get you some metal ones to try. You have to make sure that they're clean and polished up and make sure there's no, gouges or anything on there, because if you don't get it on there right, or if you hit it on the side and don't keep it cleaned up, yeah, it can chip the paint if you're not careful. The plastic ones can too. You have to make sure when you're tapping down, pardon me, that you are keeping that tap down perpendicular to the metal. I never say straight up and down because that's confusing. I don't care where the floor is. It's not straight up and down to the floor, because let's say I'm tapping down something on this body line and the high spot is right here. Well, if I'm straight up and down to the floor, I'm right here. Guess what happens when I hit it? Boink. It does that. That does me no good other than scuff and probably make another dent down here. So I'd have to make sure that I've got that tap down tilted over in an angle to match the angle of the metal. All right. So I would end up hitting that like this, making sure I'm making solid impact. Okay. It's the same thing over here. You know, where this curves, or let's say up here, I'm going to have that tap down turned this way. All right, so make sure you are perpendicular to it. The other reason is you're going to slip. If you have that tap down tilted, if you've got it like this or forward, when you impact it, see the little dots right there?
Yeah.
That's because it skipped forward on me. Okay? All right, everybody good? All right, let's go ahead, and you don't have a towel. Oh, there's nobody else. Oh, you moved over to here, that's right.
I can move back over there.
Whatever you want to do, you're fine over there. Well, actually, no, you're not, because we didn't use that hood and make all the spots. So, yeah, go ahead and come back over here. Get you cleaned up here real quick. So, yeah, just have at it. All of the spots that you made in the first exercises, just tap all of those down, and we'll go from there. Good? All right. Why don't we go out back and check to see what everybody back here is doing. How we doing, bud? I haven't figured out if it's good or bad. He's got one of the softest taps I've seen in a long time. Looking good. Still got just a little shallow coming in there. Good. Graceful. Did you ever get that spot all the way up?
Spot?
That one you were working on earlier?
Here, let me show you. Yes and no. I mean, yes, it's a lot better, but no, I did not make it invisible for the sole reason that I screwed it up. I used, I'll show you. I used this to take out a high point.
Uh-huh.
It had scuffing on it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 4 really nice.
Well, that's not a big deal. That we could wet sand out. That I see it. Yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah.
But everything around it looks pretty much.
No, it looks fine.
Now I'm working on number 2.
Yeah, the one right back there behind the circle. Okay.
The problem with it is that I can't get the light in a position where I could both see it like well.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, horizontal is where I could see it like the best. I could see the damage the most.
Right.
But when I'm standing like this, with this is the best position for me to use, right? So I'm trying to, maybe I could put the light on the stool and then somehow move it.
Have you tried the light not all the way underneath it, but down at an angle?
Yeah, I have.
Not working.
It's not as good.
The body line, the curve is killing it? Okay. Can you reach it from being down on your knee?
Well, I can do this, but it's right here, so it's still not good enough. I'd have to be like doing this, but then I don't reach. And this is a very horrible position to be doing it.
Well, now that I won't argue with you, but I have an idea.